Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Rhodes Smart Camp. I hope the wind isn't too bad or irritating on the microphone. I could have recorded this episode inside, but I wanted you to get a taste of this grandeur. I am in Livingston, Montana right now. Montana is known as Big Sky Country, and I never got that until I first came here. The sky actually seems bigger here, maybe because things are so spread out. I don't know, but the sky is massive here. It makes sense. Livingston, Montana is one of my favorite places in the world. I've been coming here for 30 years, 32 years, something like that. And the whole reason I know Livingston, Montana is because of my friend Rich Hall. Rich Hall's been such a great, important friend of mine. I could have asked him to be on the podcast, but you know what? I much prefer hanging out with him on his front porch and just shooting the shit without actually making a podcast out of it. I've done an interview podcast with him years ago. You can look it up. But I would not know Montana if it wasn't for my friend Rich Hall. He's had a place here for years. He's lived in London for years. He was the one writer that I could have when I did Viva Vietnam for Comedy Central years ago. I could choose one writer, and I had made friends with Rich a few years before that. I thought he had done some really intelligent specials, and I invited him to go with me to Vietnam. And he was a vegetarian at the time, and that was really difficult for him. I remember we filmed we went to some restaurant where they had all these animals, and they brought a cobra out. We ordered cobra, but you could order any kind of animal. And Rich was over there talking to the animals in the cages. He was really emotionally disturbed by the place. I mean, you know, so was I. It was pretty sad that they were going to eat all these exotic animals. But we were filming, and we ordered the cobra. And the waiter brought this cobra out and threw it on the ground and started... he smacked it on its nose because apparently the cobra is more tasty when it's pissed off. And the cobra reared its head back and struck at the waiter, and the waiter like grabbed this cobra. They probably go through a lot of cobras or a lot of waiters at that restaurant, but it was interesting for the hour special I did for Comedy Central. But anyway, Rich Hall's lived in London for years. He was the reason that I started going to London. And London for me was the key to the international circuits. Rich coached me on how to get in with the London scene. You don't go to the best clubs first. You go to the peripheral clubs and find out what works, get your sea legs as a comedian, and then you go to the best clubs, which is what I did through his coaching. And then I got in with London, started playing London regularly, and that led to gigs around England, then gigs around Europe, and then gigs all over the world. So my career as an international comedian probably never would have happened if it wasn't for the beautiful man, Rich Hall. And so I wouldn't know Montana if it wasn't for Rich. So we did Viva Vietnam in 1994. I came to visit him in Livingston, Montana a few months after that. And then I've been coming here for years. And I like to come up to Montana every couple of years. And Montana in August is just absolutely heavenly. I've been on this epic trip. I hope your summer's going good. I went first to Monument Valley in Utah. So many movies have been filmed there. And then I drove up through Colorado. And I hit a deer. It's interesting. I hit a deer in Livingston, Montana 10 years ago. At one point, Rich had a ranch house right outside of Livingston. And I was staying there for a week, and then I was leaving. And it was like 5 miles down a dirt road before you got to the main road. And I had gotten to the main road, and I had just pulled onto the road. And I was only doing about 40 miles an hour. This is like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I always thought that deers got hit by cars at night. But this deer jumped in front of the car, broad daylight. I had an old used BMW that I loved at the time, and it smashed the front end of the car in and totaled the car, basically. And then I remember driving it back to Rich's place, and there's steam shooting up, and then he lifts the hood, and he opened the radiator. The radiator is steaming, and the radiator cap actually said on it, "Do not open if hot," or "Do not open when hot, even if your name is Rich Hall." And he opened it, and then like this hot steaming, radiator liquid shot everywhere. The car was totaled. It actually turned out to be a good thing because then I got to stay in Montana in Livingston for another week. And a lot of interesting people live in Livingston, writers, filmmakers, a lot of interesting people. But everybody was saying after I hit the deer, yeah, that's why, because I had this little old used BMW. And the people were saying, yeah, that's why we don't drive those little cars in Montana. That's why we drive big trucks. And that's why we put these big splicers on the front of the truck. So if a deer jumps in front of your car on the highway, you can just speed up and splice right through the deer. That's some real mountain cowboy Montana stuff. I drive a Toyota Camry hybrid now. Maybe I should go to the Toyota dealership and see if they have that accessory for the Toyota Camry. So I hit a deer in Colorado. I was coming down this mountain road in the rain, and I was only going about 30 miles an hour. And I see this deer come on the side of the road, and I'm like, please, don't deer, don't jump in front of the car. And it hesitated, and then it jumped in front of the car. But I started braking once I saw the deer. So by the time I hit the deer, I was going maybe 5 miles an hour, maybe 10 max. And it bumped the deer, and then it slid downhill because the road was all wet because it had been raining. And this is a week ago. And then it found its footing, and it got up and went off. And it looked healthy. It was a healthy trot as it went off. When I hit the deer 10 years ago, it limped off, and my car was totaled, and I knew that deer wasn't long for this world. But I've prayed for the deer I hit last week, and I think he's okay, or my conscience wants to believe that. Anywho, it's always terrifying to hit an animal, but I think I just lightly tapped this deer in Colorado, and it slid on its ass, and I think we were both surprised that there wasn't damage. And my Toyota has got like a plastic front, so there wasn't even a crack on any of the plastic. So, phew, I think that deer is gonna be okay. So then, as most of you know, I'm crazy about this country music singer, Charly Crockett. He was doing 2 nights in Aspen, Colorado. Aspen, Colorado was so expensive. The hotels were like $700 to $1,000 a night. And I don't have that kind of money. So I stayed like 27 miles away in a town called Carbondale at the Days Inn. And Charly Crockett was playing this little club called Belly Up. And the first time I saw Charly Crockett was at the Belly Up in Solana Beach, just north of San Diego. And he doesn't play little clubs very much anymore. So it was sold out. And I had a ticket Sunday to see him at the Rocky Mountain Folks Festival in Lyons, Colorado. So I thought I would scalp tickets. So the doors opened at 7:30, the show was at 8 o'clock, and I had actually made this dorky little sign that said, "Please, may I purchase your extra ticket? Pretty please." And had a couple of hearts and a dollar sign on it. And so I got there at 5:30. Charly Crockett's tour buses are parked out front. And I figured around 7, I'd pull out my stupid sign when the people were showing up. So I'm standing there. Some crew members come out of the club, and I go, "Hey, you guys know where I could buy a solo ticket?" And they were like, "Sorry, brother." So, all right, I'm standing there. About 6 o'clock, this cool-looking dude comes walking up the sidewalk, and I know he's a musician, and he acts like he knows me. He's like, "Hey, man, That's so great you're here. He goes, where did we meet? I don't think I had ever met this guy before. He goes, was it Baton Rouge? And I know all these guys are from Texas. So I go, I think it was Austin. He goes, oh, yeah, cool. He goes, are you coming to the show tonight? And I said, actually, I don't have a ticket. Can you put me on the guest list? And he goes, yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem. Let me ask the tour manager. And the tour manager, this guy walks up and he goes, can you put my buddy on the guest list tonight? And the guy goes, I can do even better than that. Take my all access pass. He goes, they know me at this club. I've been going in and out. So the guy who acted like he knew me, his name is Chad Pope. And he plays guitar for Dallas Burrow, who was the opening act. Awesome dude. I'm his biggest fan in the world now because he totally set me up. So I got this all access pass. So the doors, I was there when I used some public bathrooms a few blocks away because I wanted to empty my bladder so I could be in the front spot for the whole concert. The doors opened at 7:30. I walked straight to the front of the stage, and I was right in front of the stage from 7:30 until the show started, 8:30. Dallas Burrow was awesome. It was amazing. Chad Pope, amazing guitar player. I'm so glad that I know him now. And then Charly Crockett was like right in front of me. I could have like smacked his knees. And then his set list was there. It was amazing. So I was so happy I didn't have to spend a dime for the Charly Crockett concert. And I'm front row center, the absolute best place to see the concert. And then after the show, Dallas Burrow was standing there by his merch table. And I figured he's responsible for me getting this all access pass. So he had one vinyl record, 2 CDs. I bought everything. He signed it. Then the tour manager was there taking the money. And I asked him, after I paid him, I said, hey, brother, let me ask you, is it the same all access pass every night? And he smiled and he nodded. And he was a big guy. And I like hugged him and kissed him on his cheek and he blushed. I don't think many people hug him and kiss him. So I came back the next night, exact same thing. 7:30, I was there when the doors opened. I walked straight to the front of the stage. And then it was a different opening act. Wyatt Flores was also great. And then I saw Charly Crockett 2 nights in a row, front row center. Didn't pay a dime. And then the next night, he's doing this festival, this Rocky Mountain Folks Festival. And this time, Aspen was like mountain country people. And then this Folks Festival was like hippie families and blankets and lawn chairs and things like that. And the meadow was full of people. And I walked down to the side. I see people standing on the side. And so I walked down there. And then when I get down there, I could see there was like 10 rows of chairs in front of the meadow with all the hippie families. And people are getting cleared out. And I hear these guys next to me talking, and they said, yeah, that's the VIP section. They clear out that section after every act because most of the VIPs are people that know the band and or VIPs or whatever. So, boom. Light bulb goes off over my head. I've got the all access pass. I walk all the way around to the back. There's a lane going straight down to the front, and there's a gate, and it says security staff only. And there's 3 security guards standing there, 2 men and an older woman about 70. And I walk up like I know what I'm doing. And I go, and the place is all empty now, the VIP section. I go, hey, brother, can I get in there with this now? And I show him the pass. He goes, sorry, man. To get into this area, you got to walk all the way around to the backstage. You have to enter through the backstage area. And the older woman goes, oh, come on, give him a break. Don't make him walk all the way around. And the guy goes, okay, I'll give you a break. You can come in now. So I come in, he opens the gate, I walk in, I sit at the front center chair, And then 5 minutes later, they let in all the VIPs, and then this whole area is full. So it was like, boom, 3 nights in a row, I got to see Charly Crockett in the best possible spot. The magic universe is tickling me with goodness right now because I didn't hurt that deer, and I got to see Charly Crockett 3 nights in a row in the best possible place. And I only paid for one of the shows. So Colorado was amazing. Then I visited Josh Blue, who's he was on last week's episode. Great guy, love him, and super intelligent, super funny. And then I came up through Wyoming. I stayed in Thermopolis, and then I stayed in Cody. Cody, Wyoming is a really cool place. And it was 100 degrees. I thought, there's this old hotel called the Irma Hotel, which was the first building built there by Buffalo Bill Cody, who the town is named after. And I thought I was making a reservation there. It's an old hotel. Thank God I made a mistake, and I stayed at the Cody Hotel, which is modern, and they had, excellent air conditioning and a swimming pool. And there was an Old West town directly across the street. What's it called? Trail City or something like that, where they took all the original old buildings of Cody and moved them there. There's an old saloon. It was really cool. And then right beside that is the Cody Rodeo. And in the summer, they do this night rodeo. It was kind of boring. I'm not a big rodeo guy. It was mostly teenagers. I liked the women, or the young women, the teenage women. It was cool to see them out there kicking ass. But to be honest with you, like any situation where it's animals and humans, I'm always cheering for the animals. So, seeing alligator wrestling in Florida, I always rooting for the alligator. SeaWorld, I always want the whale. And the rodeos, yeah, I mean, I used to do a joke about calf roping. I think that's like so cruel. It's not even an adult cow. It's an infant baby child cow. And then they flip him on his back and tie his little hands and feet together. It's just so unnecessary. And then there was a rodeo clown. His jokes were really corny. The only thing this cowboy's taking home is your applause. But anyway, I went because it was, the thing to do. And then I drove up through from Cody to Livingston. It's only a 3-hour drive. Got a speeding ticket. Got to lay off the gas. Anyway, so let me tell you this. This is the biggest, best travel tip I can give you for visiting Yellowstone National Park. And I've been there 4 or 5 times, but I did not learn this until I was there 2 years ago. Everybody, when they go to Yellowstone National Park, they go straight to Old Faithful. You think, hey, that's the famous thing. I got to see it. I've never seen any wildlife, maybe like one bison at the Old Faithful. The best place to see the bison in Yellowstone National Park is on the road that goes across the north of the park from Mammoth to Cook City. And from Montana, you come in the north entrance. So you come in. From Livingston, it's only 52 miles to Yellowstone National Park. So you come in to the park. The first little ranger station is called Mammoth. And you take the first left and you head to Lamar Valley. So you it's at sunrise is when all the bison come out, and that's the best time to see it. I did it last time I was here 2 years ago. Spectacular. So I woke up at 5 a.m. 2 days ago to experience this again. And I get down there at at 6:15, I'm taking that left and I'm driving about 15 miles and jackpot, the mother lode. Bison are everywhere. And it's so beautiful, and you stop, and if you can keep a safe distance from them, And then I was going to drive all the way to Cook City and come back up through Red Lodge and back to Livingston because I heard that is a spectacular drive. But after about 5 miles of Bison, there was a sign, there was a lot of construction, and it said, blasting next 20 miles, expect 30-minute waits. So there's a long line of cars, and I get behind it. I'm thinking, oh, it's really early in the morning. Maybe I'll get lucky. So I'm sitting there for about 15 minutes, and I'm thinking, oh man, 20 miles of this? How many 30-minute waits are there going to be? So I turn around, and I go back the direction that I came, and this was the greatest thing because now all the bison were on the road. Hundreds of these majestic creatures, and they're blocking the traffic in both lanes. So I kept a safe distance between my car and the bison, like 2 car lengths, sometimes 1 car length, but always, keeping a big buffer. And the bison are walking in the same direction that I'm going, some of them, and then some of them are just crossing the road. I mean, there's just hundreds of these beautiful bison. And I'm shooting videos, I'm taking photos. I'm in this absolute heavenly moment. And it was, I couldn't have imagined a better possible outcome for seeing the bison. And it was so worth waking up at 5 a.m. for this. Then all of a sudden, this portly woman behind me, who's in a car with Pennsylvania license plates, she starts honking her horn. Are you kidding me? What, are you really honking, lady? And then this woman does this aggressive move where she passes me. There's no cars coming this way because bison are blocking the road. But now there's not enough space for this woman's car to go in front of me. So like the nose of her car is in front of my car in this lane, heading west. And then the ass end of her car is in the other lane, the opposite lane, going the other way. It was like such an unnecessary douche move. And then when her car, when the bison, move up slowly and her car gets in the lane, she starts leaning on the horn. She's honking at the bison and she's riding their asses with the nose of her car. This woman is like honking excessively like she was stuck in traffic in New York City. She's riding these bison asses, meh, 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 meh. I couldn't believe it. And, what I thought was a heavenly blessing, this woman thought was an irritant that she wanted out of her way. And I wish I would have thought about it. I came back to Livingston and I told Rich, and we were having dinner at his house last night. And they were saying you should have taken down the license plate number and reported the woman at the next ranger station for harassing the animals. But I didn't even think of it. You always hear about bison attacking. They like gore them, or they'll throw people up in the air like dumb tourists. People seem to put their brains on the shelf when they visit the national parks for some reason. But you always hear about people going to Yellowstone and trying to pet the bison, and then the bison goring them or flipping them up in the air. I really wanted this woman to get a bison head on her derriere, but she didn't seem like the petting kind. So, and she obviously, at 9 a.m. in Yellowstone National Park, what is the hurry? Where are you going? It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But anywho, that was my story, and it's so beautiful here. You can hear the wind in the trees. Yeah, let me show you this other, what I'm looking at. Yeah, even prettier. Isn't it gorgeous? So, the other update I want to tell you is I'm on the summer adventure. Me and Rich are doing the show at Pine Creek Lodge, and that's where I'm recording this now. It's funny, I'm staying at Pine Creek Lodge, and it's funny, people from Montana, when you tell them where you're staying, they always go, oh yeah, there was a serial killer in the 90s. Yeah, he used to cut off people's fingers and put them in his pocket and chew on them for snacks. Yeah, they never caught the guy. Well, it all happened in that area where you're staying, so sleep tight. Anywho. So this was going to be the highlight of my summer, coming to Livingston. And how's that? A little more headspace. About a week ago, I got invited to Burning Man in the desert in Nevada. I've never had any desire to go. I hate camping. I heard it's in the hundreds every day, and you got to sleep in a tent unless you're rich and can bring an RV. And, you know, I said no to the guy who invited me when he invited me, and then I thought about it. And like where my headspace has been this year, trying to cheer myself up, trying to overcome depression and the trauma that I experienced a couple years ago, I thought, it's funny, like I never wanted to do the Edinburgh Festival until I stopped drinking. And I stopped smoking marijuana a couple months ago. So I'm pretty much like totally sober now, which is funny because a lot of people go to Burning Man to party. But I'm actually going to go to Burning Man after I leave Livingston. I'm going to drive to Bend, Oregon and stop there for a couple days. The guy who invited me lives there. I've been buying supplies and things like that. I am absolutely terrified. I'm excited to go, but I'm also very terrified because there's no phone service, there's no Wi-Fi, you're completely cut off from the world. And I hate camping, and I couldn't think of anything worse than being in a tent when it's 100 degrees in the daytime, and that's what it's gonna be like. So anyway, I've decided to go. And I bought supplies, and I'm still buying supplies, and I figured at the very least I would get a lot of material out of it, but also, you know, I'm hoping to be elevated, spiritually inspired by the creative people and the art and everything. And another weird thing is, when I started this trip, I did not even fathom that I would be going to Burning Man. So I've only brought like kind of Western cowboy clothes on this trip. Like I bought a really cool cowboy hat when I drove through Meeteetse, Wyoming. Stopped at a really cool place there called Antiques and Cowboy Curiosities. So I've got like a cowboy hat, cowboy clothes. I'm gonna look like some Wyoming cowboy at Burning Man, other than shorts and t-shirts and things like that. People are gonna think I'm a narc, man. But we'll see how it turns out. So the next episode that I post, I will record an episode from Burning Man. And hopefully I'm not like crying, you know, and completely breaking down and miserable. So hopefully it's going to be inspiring. Yes. Anyway, I just wanted the sky is changing as it does. That belly doesn't change. Look at that, baby. Still skinny, still loving it. Yeah, what else? Wow. Do not speak a word that does not lift a wing. That's from the Hafiz book, something I read recently. And I love you all very much. Thank you for caring about me. Thank you for supporting me and my podcast. And hooray for humanity. All right. Hopefully I'll survive Burning Man. And we'll have lots of stories for that. Yeah, I think that's it for Livingston. Livingston, Montana. If you ever get a chance to visit, come here in August. The weather is luscious. It feels like velvet. on your skin. All right, I love you. Shalom, amigos y amigas. Hooray for humanity, and hooray for you, wherever you are. Mwah.